Today's headline is he fell 11 stories. The subheadline says, and lived to add his own story of how he felt while dropping. This article originally came from the Washington Post. It says, Albert Deale, a steam fitter, fell from the 11th story of the new Schneider flats to the basement yesterday afternoon and escaped without injury. At the ground floor, the small of his back struck a heavy beam, which makes his escape the more marvelous. Deale fell from a freight elevator down the shaft. A sudden catch of the ropes caused the elevator to lurch, causing him to be thrown head first from the platform, which is less than half as wide as the shaft. The man was thrown with considerable force and turned 3 or 4 somersaults as he shot down to the ground. 2 or 3 times his head grazed projecting iron beams. Over and over he went, and as he struck the beam after the drop of 145 feet, the force of the blow caused him to bound back 2 or 3 feet. Then he fell to the cellar limp and apparently dead. Several workmen on the first floor who had heard Deale strike the beam ran into the basement, expecting to find their friend unconscious and mangled, if not actually dead. As they approached Deale, he got up, looked dazed for a moment, then said slowly, as if he could hardly find breath, "I fell off of the elevator." The men lifted him and he started to walk, but after 2 or 3 steps, he became deathly sick and sank to the ground unconscious. His friends thought he was dying from the shock and ran for a doctor and a priest. Dr. Weaver returned with the men and found Deale recovering rapidly, only complaining of a bad pain in his back. Examination showed that no bones were broken. There was a bruise where he had struck the beam, but the skin was not lacerated. The sickness resulted from extreme fright and dizziness caused by the lightning-like drop through the air. Deale was taken in a carriage to his boarding house 1141 19th Street and put to bed. In spite of the efforts of the doctor, the nausea continued. For hours he had all the symptoms of an aggravated attack and could not even swallow lime water. He complained a little of the pain in his back, but thought lightly of it, inasmuch as Dr. Weaver had assured him that he had received no internal injuries. A reporter asked Deale to tell the story of his fall. "I couldn't help it," he said. "The elevator gave a lurch and I was thrown off. I knew that I was turning over and over, and I thought I would strike against the sides of the shaft. I thought I had reached my last moment, and I was rattled. I couldn't get my thoughts together. I seemed to think I ought to grab hold of something and save myself, and then I would think it was no use, and that it was all up with me. Then I hit the beam and that's all. I was going down on the elevator to see about some steam heaters." Deale came to Washington in July from Pittsburgh. He is 32 years of age and a fine-looking fellow. His relatives live in New York. Robert Watson fell down the Schneider Flats elevator shaft and was instantly killed. Several other men have been killed and injured in this building, and those now working there are continually afraid some accident will happen to them. Although everything about the building is safe, the flats are 13 stories, 160 feet high, so that Deale's fall yesterday was fully 145 feet, and perhaps more. This story came from the great state of New York, being reported in the New York Sun of October 14, 1894. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave, to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. And we will see you next time on Americana Archives.